Alright, so John Kohler with discountjuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, I'm going to show you guys what Hurom Juicer is best for 2025 and beyond. If you don't know who I am, my name is John Kohler and I started my company discountjuicers.com to get you guys the lowest price and educate consumers about all the different various brands and types of juicers back in 1998. Over 25 years now, and I still do that to this day with more educational YouTube videos than anybody else online. I have over 800 videos, so I encourage you guys to watch all my, especially latest videos, for the latest updates and some of the best juicers on the planet, so you could get healthy here in 2025. In any case, today I'm featuring the Hurom Juicers, and that's for a very important reason, is because Hurom literally just made all these three models better, and they didn't even change anything with the juicers themselves. But what Hurom did a little bit earlier this year, and I had a YouTube short about this, link down below to that, many of you guys may have watched it, and a lot of you guys haven't, is that Hurom increased their warranty on these three models only to a full 15 years on the motor base and all the juicer parts. So my previous videos had claimed that it was 10 years on the motor bases and 2 years on the parts. Hurom has basically listened to me as well as other customers, and also probably looked at the market, and they wanted to be more competitive because honestly, Hurom makes the best juicers on the planet, in my opinion, for vertical slow juicers. A matter of fact, Hurom actually makes some of the other top-selling brands on the market in their very factory. So do you think Hurom is going to let other companies beat them? That's a good question. I can't answer that personally. But what I will say is that these three models now have a full 15-year warranty, which is your confidence in the quality of Hurom machines. Hurom is a business that's been now in business for 50 years. And they literally invented the vertical single auger style machine, I think around 20 years ago now, and ever since then they've been constantly improving it and evolving it. And actually their two latest machines that they're now offering the full 15-year warranty on are the Hurom H400, which is very popular in many countries around the world, and the brand new, in my opinion, my favorite, the Hurom H70 here in the United States. Some countries around the world it may be called the H410. I am here in the US, and the warranties may vary by country, so I'm sharing that the warranty in the US is 15 years. I know Europe also did increase the warranty on some model Hurom juicers as well. Now the main difference between these two models is that these are the easy clean design. I have videos, links down below to my unboxing of the H70 and the H400. And I show me cleaning the machine with a stopwatch, and it takes approximately a minute to clean both of these machines. That is really the game-changing technology that you're going to get when you get a Hurom. And not only do you have now the easiest cleaning on any vertical juicer, you also have a full 15-year warranty. So to me, buying another brand juicer is a little bit silly if, you know, cleaning is a major stopping point for you. Because when you're done juicing, you always got to clean the juicer, guys. And these ones take me a minute, and I found that I've gravitated towards using the H70 myself compared to other machines if I'm just doing small amounts, because the cleaning is so easy. That being said, Hurom doesn't want to get left out of the picture, because the best-selling juicers are this basically traditional screen design. So this is their H320. That has a screen design, and actually this machine is similar to some of the other models on the market at this time, and this is Hurom's entry that works in my testing pretty much the same as other machines that has a hopper and a screen. This model is the H320. This model also has the full 15-year warranty on it, and if you do want a screen design, then you should go with the Hurom. Hurom also has generally better promotions than other brands out there, especially around major holidays. And because my name is John Kohler from Discount Juicers, I always strive to get you guys the lowest price, and have negotiated hard with some of the manufacturers to ensure that after you watch my video and I get to educate you about these machines, you guys can get the lowest price by using my coupon code. So the coupon code. All right, so that being said, I want to go ahead and dive deep and basically share with you guys which one of these machines would you buy, and it really depends on your specific needs. Each one of the machines are a little bit different and they offer a different set of pros and cons. In this video I'm going to share with you guys what I believe the pros and cons to be of each of these machines, and of course I'll share with you guys my favorite straight up is the H70. When I did test the H70 against the H400 and the H310, which is all easy clean models, links down below. The H70 won in the yield, also won in the time use. It'll be interesting because now I am bringing into the mix for the first time, comparing the easy clean models against the traditional screened style design, the Hurom H320. I really never gave the H320 a good look because they had only a 2-year warranty on it and other competitor models had a 15-year warranty, and I believe that Hurom had seen that, you know, their sales were kind of slumping and even having good promotions did not help their sales much, and now, you know, with the 15-year warranty, I believe that will help their sales significantly, capture a greater market share for some of their great machines that are built in Korea. All right, so I guess with that, let's go ahead and dive deep into the comparison. I guess the first thing you guys can see is visually the size is different on these machines. The H400 is the tallest of them all, and if you look at it from a side view, it's also quite wide there, a little bit narrow on this side. The cool thing about the H400 is that all the juicing parts is encapsulated inside, so you don't really get to see the juicer work. It's all inside here hidden, which is a pro and a con. I kind of like to see the juicer work personally, but you know, this kind of looks more upscale, maybe like a high-end coffee maker. People be like, what's that? Anyways, the hopper is still up here. And then the other main thing about this is that there's only one spout that comes out of the machine. This is where you catch your juice. So you could just put a glass underneath here and the pulp is caught in the little hopper in the back all automatically. The drawbacks of this hopper is that it's smaller than the hopper you can put on these other two machines because they are external. In addition, a challenge that can happen if you do juice too much, this may end up backing up in the hopper and then causing a problem with the juicer. So, you know, I wouldn't recommend this for people that want to juice, you know, bulk juice because the catch cup is so small. In addition, the other thing I don't like about the H400 is that it is the most expensive Hurom juicer, right? And just because it's the most expensive doesn't mean it's necessarily going to perform better. The other thing about this machine is that this runs at a faster RPM than the other machines. This runs at 90 revolutions per minute. The H70 runs at 60 revolutions per minute, and the H320 runs at 50 revolutions per minute. So generally, the slower the juicer runs, generally, but not always, the less oxidation is put into the juice, and also the more contact time there is with the grinding apparatus. Because if you just grind something really quick and then send it out the chute, which is this is almost 2 times faster than this one, right? You may not be achieving the highest yield. And running slower may be better. That being said, I will say that the H320 does have a wiping blade, which then squeegees the screen clean so that it doesn't get clogged or jammed. And because it has a wiping blade, that introduces additional oxygen into the juice. That being said, the juicing screen does tend, but not always, put less pulp in the juice than the easy clean design that I'll show you guys in a minute, that has no screen to clean, so no scrubbing required. Literally just spray this off and you're done using it. And that's really the beauty of the easy clean machines. Easy clean has definitely converted this juicer for sure. So moving on to the next easy clean, we have the H70 over here. You guys can see this is a bit shorter than the H320 and the H400, so this is why I like this. It's a little bit more compact. The downside of the compactness is that the hopper, based on my measurements, is about 20% less, so that's a fair bit less. Not super tiny, but I would, of course, like a larger hopper and hope that Hurom one day makes an accessory hopper to make this hopper even larger, because that would be amazing to me. Otherwise, half of the juicing components are hidden in this machine because it's kind of down in this half, and so it does look a little more modern. You don't get to really just see the juicing happening in the machine. If we look at the side profile, you guys could see, you know, this is a fairly compact juicer. So this machine is going to take up the least amount of counter space, which is, if it's important to you because you have a small counter. The other thing I really like about this machine is that it has an external pulp catch bin, which goes off right here to the side, and the juice comes out the front. So it's kind of like, once again, it's taking less counter space because it's all contained within a little like a square area here. Also, this runs at 60 RPMs, which is a bit slower than the 90 RPMs of the H400. That also can perfect how long it takes to juice, as well as the juicing performance. And of course, this machine has a full 15-year warranty as well. Last but not least, let's go over to the H320. This is similar to other machines on the market that have a hopper and a juicing screen and a wiping blade. Matter of fact, Hurom makes two machines that are very similar to this one with the screen for other companies out there that have been selling probably a bit better than the Hurom H320, especially here in the USA. Nonetheless, this is a solid performer built on solid engineering. And the main thing about this is that this runs at a lower 50 revolutions per minute. This is kind of like in between, so it's a bit larger than the H70, smaller than the H400. But the issue with this that I've never been the biggest fan of is that this machine is long, because you have to put the pulp catch bin here, and then you have to put the juice catch bin here. So, you know, when you're done, this machine is quite long. Whereas this machine, you know, a little bit more compact, and then this one, because it comes out at a right angle, it doesn't take as much like length of your counter space. Of course, you could put this sideways on your counter to have the juice come out here and the pulp come out here or whatnot, and you can see the juice, but then you can't really see the other side as you're running it. The thing is, both these machines have about a similar size hopper, which is about 2 liters, and as I said, this one is about 20% smaller. The other thing I will say is that I think this machine came out first, then later on the H400 came out, and then the newest machine to be released actually in 2024 was the H70. My personal opinion and what I have observed over the many years working with Hurom and testing and comparing Hurom juicers is that their latest model that they released the latest always basically has improvements that previous models have not. So, you know, what I have seen is that the new H70, because of the smaller hopper, and also instead of being like a cylinder, it's actually tilted in a little bit, so it's a bit more narrow at the top, which makes feeding it a little bit harder, a little bit more wide at the bottom. But they've really optimized this hopper to empty out and work more efficiently than either of these two hoppers and processing blades on these two models. So I'm glad Hurom is actually improving. Of course, also in some of my tests, the yield on this one is even better than the H400, which is their premium machine. So I guess next up, what I want to do is we're going to go ahead and do a sound test of each of the machines to let you guys know how loud they are when they're running empty. Of course, when running it and juicing, the noise level will change a little bit. All right, so we got a decibel meter here, and let's go ahead and turn on the H320. The on-off is in the front. We're peaking out at 60 decibels on the H400. The on-off is in the back. You can hear the RPM. It runs a little bit faster. Because of that, we're averaging about 70. Definitely a fair bit louder. And then finally, let's go ahead and check the H70 on-off switch on the back once again. Running slower than this, but faster than that. I think we stabilized at about 68 decibels. So you guys can see clearly the RPM has a lot to do with the decibels. Generally, the faster the machine runs, the louder it will be. Next up, we're going to go ahead and take these machines apart, part by part, and explain the differences and show you guys the differences so you guys could know which machine may be better for your needs. So basically, all these top sets just easily get pulled off the machines. As you guys can see, if we set them next to each other, you guys could clearly see like the H400 literally towers over the other two, and you know the H320 is a little bit shorter, and then the H70 is the shortest of them all. So first off, we'll take off the 320, I do like that it has dual handles on the back, so this helps you kind of like get leverage and pull it apart. And you guys can see this is the hopper on the H70. On the H400, there's just a handle that you just twist and you can pull this up. And likewise on the H70, the handle is more streamlined. It's not as thick and bulky. This is a bit lighter part because of less plastic. You just turn that and then you can pull it up. I do like the more translucent plastic on the H70 hopper. And if we go ahead and look at these, the latch releases are a little bit different on all these machines, right? The H320 has basically a push down button. You got to push down, at the same time lift up. So you're pushing down here, lifting up here. This is not super intuitive. And then you can lift this up, and then you see we have a hopper, 2-liter hopper in here. It's basically mostly round with a cutoff side on the back. And then we have a processing blade in the bottom that spins around to help pre-cut and feed in produce at a slow and moderate rate. This is hinged and it is removable on the H320. Next up, over to the H400. This part seems a little bit heavier to me than the H320 part. It looks like it has a bit more plastic in the handle because it's like molded in a different color, and it's actually more ergonomic, so maybe more upscale. And then on this latch, it's a little bit different. There's no press button here. On this one, you need to get your finger underneath this latch and kind of pull it up. So I think that's definitely an improvement over the press button that you got to press and then pull up. With this, you just unclip it and then it pops up itself. Once again, you could pop this up, and now this is also hinged and removable. And as you guys can see, this hopper is very similar to the hopper on the H320. It basically has the cut off side on one end. It's flat on one side, which has not been my favorite. In addition, it has a processing blade on the bottom, but the main difference between these two, if you guys look, is that the opening on the bottom of the H320 is a lot larger, and the opening on the H400 is a lot smaller. This will affect how fast produce is going into the juicing mechanism. So on the H320, it's larger, so things will drop in a little bit faster, and maybe it'll be processed faster. And on this machine, they basically made this slower to slow down the rate of feeding in the machine, which is quite interesting. Once again, this holds about 2 liters, and we're going to go ahead and snap on the lid back again. And then finally over to the H70. This hopper is the lightest of them all. It also has the clear plastic. The other thing to note on the H400 is that the lid is flat with a hole, so this is not funneled in any way. If you put like a cherry tomato here, it's just going to sit here. It's not going to roll in. And on the H320, it's also pretty much flat, a little bit more curvature than the H400, and at least there's a lip on it. But nonetheless, if you put a cherry tomato here, it doesn't have the propensity to roll in as much either. I mean, this is a small design change they could have made to improve their machines. Meanwhile, on the H70, this is sloped. So if you should put something here on the edge, it will roll in. That being said, the slope part only happens like 3/4 of the way up. So not the optimal design in my opinion. That being said, the way to open this is that there's no button to press or nothing to get your finger underneath and pull. There's a trigger lock. So basically you get your finger here on the back of this, whether it's your thumb, your forefinger, you push that back and then it pops up. So by far, you know, this is the easiest one to release and most ergonomic. This lid will come up. This is not a removable lid, which is not my favorite, but it is mostly a suicide lid, so it could go backwards. So when you're done, you could just set it on your drain rack, kind of like that. In addition, this hopper is definitely more rounded than these that have a bigger cutout. This one has a smaller cutout, although at the bottom it is still a little bit round. Of course, this is not a full cone. It's kind of like a little bit of an angle, so the top is a bit more narrow, the bottom is a bit more wide. And if you guys look at the hole in the bottom, this is maybe the same, maybe a little bit bigger than the hole on the H400. So maybe it feeds in produce a little bit faster, but then they've also slowed down the RPM on the juicer as well. And of course, this has a processing blade. So the thing I believe about this is that it's a lighter piece. So if you have if you have problems lifting heavy things, this is easier latch. Overall, this is a better designed part in my opinion. The main issue with this is that 20% less capacity, but otherwise, I believe this is the winner for the hopper that I like the most. Let's see if I have to say which hopper do I like second most. That's a good question. I mean, I'm gonna say it's a tie between these. They're very close and similar. I really just don't like the latches on both these guys. Sorry. All right, next up, let's go ahead and check out the juicing apparatuses on all the machines. That's where things get a little bit different. So once again, H320, H400, H70. And we're gonna go ahead and pull out the auger on the H320. This is the traditional auger on the H320, divoted to help reduce noise, or so they say. Next up, we're going to pull out the auger on the H400. As you guys can see, this is a two-piece auger. I pulled out the top piece. This is the bottom piece. And we're going to pull out the H70 auger. Once again, this is a two-piece. I pulled out the top and bottom piece at the same time. All right. Next up, to make the juice happen on the H320 only, you also need a juicing screen. So on the H320, you have a traditional juicing screen here with all that stainless steel with all the holes. You also have a wiping blade that goes around that, so that basically it spins around and basically cleans the screen, squeegees off all the pulp so that the holes do not get clogged up when you're juicing. Also introduces a little bit of oxygen into the juice because it's literally spinning your juice around. And how the H320 works is that basically you put produce in, it drops in the auger spins around, it grabs it, and it crushes the produce between the auger as it gets more narrow and crushed and ground up smaller and squeezed between these grinding blades on the screen. So there's 4 Ultim grinding blades that are 8 times harder plastic, and then there's some other kind of grinding, basically nubbies, I'll call them, on the juicing screen, until the basically the pulp is ground up to a finer particle size. The juice is released. The juice then falls out this direction, out of the screen, and then into the bowl and into the collection cup, and then the pulp comes out this little pulp hole here that then ejects out of the juicing bowl, also known as the drum. All right, so that's how this works. Now on the H400, they've dramatically simplified this, guys. There's no juicing screen whatsoever. You have the auger, which is a 2-piece auger, and then all you have is the juicing bowl or the drum. How this works is as you put the produce in the machine, it's basically these two things knock it up smaller. Then it's forced between the 2-piece auger and the housing, or the drum or the body. And you can see the grinding points on this body. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 tall ones, and then there's all these smaller ones, which basically simulate the grinding points inside the juicing screen. So as the produce is ground up between the wall and the auger, the juice is released, and the juice can't flow out, but the juice flows in because there's these cracks in between the auger that you can really see now. And when I put this on, you guys can see them. There's just small little slits that now the juice falls inwards, and the juice comes out the middle here, and then comes out in this main collection point, and then comes out the spout here, and then the pulp stays on the outside, and then basically comes out over here. So this is how Hurom has significantly improved the vertical juicers by eliminating this part, the part that is the most difficult to clean. Literally on this, you need to take a brush that is included with the juicer and scrub the holes. Otherwise, your holes are going to become clogged. And when your holes become clogged, then your juicer doesn't make juice because no juice could come out because the holes are clogged. I was recently down at my friends in Puerto Rico, and I was looking at her juicer, and I took out the juicing screen, which is a Hurom, made in the Hurom factory, and the juicing screen was completely clogged because for her, it wasn't imperative to clean the screen. I know a lot of you guys may be like, oh, cleaning sucks, I'm just going to do a half batch job on it or whatever. And then the screen gets clogged over time, and then your performance reduces, right? With the Hurom H400 and H70, that will never happen because literally how I clean this is I basically take these pieces out, I take them apart like this, and under high pressure water, I just spray them down. Everything is dislodged, and as you guys can see, I've never used soap on these parts. It's pretty much clean. You can't even see any kind of residues or anything. Same with this. I've only ever sprayed it down. All right, next up, let's go ahead and take a look at the H70. So comparing the H400 to the H70 auger, they pretty much look similar. They have a little bit different top. This is a little bit more aggressive to get things fed in. This is a little bit more mild-mannered, but this has like basically a knocking point here and then a cutting point here, whereas this one actually has like a cutting point here, and then a partial cutting knocker here, and knocker here. So this basically has kind of like 4 areas where it kind of chunks up stuff a little bit smaller each time, whereas this kind of just tries to knock it down smaller immediately, which is quite interesting. And then also too, this thing works the same way. So as it goes down this area, the produce is ground up, crushed, and squeezed. And then you guys could see, once again, the slits between this as well. And once again, the juice falls in. This one also, I've only ever sprayed off. I've never used soap on it personally. And you guys could see this one, not quite as clean as this one. I'm seeing a little bit of buildup, but not much, okay? Maybe a little bit of mineral deposits. And likewise, on the inner of this chamber, it's pretty clean. You're not seeing any major juice stains, maybe some hard water deposits. I do have exceptionally hard water here, where I live. All right. So I guess the other thing I want to talk to you guys about is what is the run. This is very important. Nobody else really discusses this, but what is the run on the augers? Some of you guys would know this, if you're into this kind of stuff. But basically, the run is like how long of a space is the produce processed. The longer the run, generally the better the grind, and generally the better the yield. So on the H400, the run is this length here as the produce goes in the machine. It's crush and ground up, 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 final crush and ground up before it is ejected. Likewise, on the H400, pretty much the same thing, crushed and ground up all the way down the auger until it is ejected at the bottom. Both these augers have a very similar design on the bottom half. The top half is a bit different. Meanwhile, if we compare it to the H320, what's the run on this? So I'm just going to go ahead and line this up for the run. And you guys can see the run is approximately, and I'm talking about this area from here to about here. The run on this is approximately 75% of the run, which means it's not going to be as effective as grinding as the easy clean, because basically it's, while it is running at 50 RPMs, it's ground, ejected. Whereas this is like ground, ejected, right? So you guys see what I'm saying? Once again, at 90 RPM, this is happening a lot quicker. So, that's why in my testing, I've seen the H400 get a bit less yield. The H70 is running at 60 RPMs with a longer run, and the H320, as well as other machines that have a very similar auger, runs at 50 RPM with a run that is only 75% of the length of the H70. So this will be interesting to see how this performs in the real world. And I'm trying to give you guys like the behind the scenes on actually how the machines work. Not just like throw produce to the machine and tell you the results. I'm explaining why you see the results you do, if that's important to you, right? Some of you guys it is, some of you guys it isn't. Some of you guys just, John, what machine do I buy? I mean, I haven't done the testing yet, but basically what I'll tell you guys without going any further is that, I've already told you my favorite. My favorite is the H70. It's proven to me time and time again. I've used it off camera so many times. It's a solid performer. It's not as expensive as this. It's actually the same price as this. And with my coupon code BEST25, you guys are going to get the lowest price as well as now a 15-year warranty in the United States. All right, so now let's go over the juicing bowls. This is the juicing bowl on the H320. You do have a handle, which is nice because other machines that are similar to this don't have a handle. That can make handling it a little bit more difficult, although the handle does add a bit of weight to the machine. This has an easy clean, so you can basically clip this flap and then drop this down. It has a little pulp flap that is actually hinged, so you'll never lose it like other brands. Then you have a spout cap that you can open to let all the juice out, or close to mix in the bowl. I never recommend mixing in the bowl. I always recommend leaving your spout cap open when juicing, and close it to prevent drips on your countertop. This machine also does have a little spinner here, a little gear. In the past, these have broken on some people. They seem to be pretty durable these days. Sometimes pulp and things get stuck underneath there. Can be, challenging to clean. Next up, the H400 drum or body. And as you guys can see, this body is a lot different. It's actually tall and narrow, which actually is not my favorite. I kind of like this. This is more short and squat, and you can kind of get in there easy. Because this is all tall and narrow, it makes it harder to kind of get in there. And especially the passageway on the outside where the juice pulp comes out over here is quite narrow. So this can make cleaning a little bit more difficult because there's crammed in juice pulp. Also, you need to remember most of the pulp is going to be contained within the juicing screen on the H320 when you're done. But on one of these machines, a lot of the pulp will actually just be stuck in the bowl because this is equivalent to the juicing screen, although it doesn't have the holes. I do like this piece. This is a nice solid heavy piece with thick walls, so that really shows me the durability. And it does have a nice big channel in here for the juice to eject, which then comes out this spout, which you can also open and close. In addition, you have a little level, so you should keep it closed. You can see like a gas gauge go up, and when it gets to the top, you definitely want to open it up. This is hinged, so you can just open it up and clean it out easily when you're done. In addition, this has an easy open pulp spout too, so you just latch this off and then it opens up. And if you guys see, there's a shorter run where the pulp comes out. Let me go ahead and show you guys on the H320. Can you guys see how long that is, the run? So the run, it basically hits this pulp flap and then just comes out almost immediately, where it hits this pulp flap and then it has to go at least 2 to 3 times longer, which means at the end you're going to have 2 or 3 times more pulp left in the H320 in this pulp flap or pulp ejection area than with the H400. In addition, I do like how they've improved this pulp flap. So the pulp flap on here, if you guys notice, is basically pretty flush and stuck to the bottom. And it's kind of hard to kind of get up underneath there and clean it. Whereas on the H400, they've now raised it up. So you guys can see it's easier to kind of get underneath here and clean and pull this out and clean. I really like the newer design on the H400 over the original H320. That being said, the H400 is a newer machine technically than the H320 as well. Finally, we're going to go over the H70 bowl. I do like the design generally of the H400 bowl. I like the thick, heavy-duty plastic, and it's basically just one level. You see what you get. Now on the H70, they do have this outer part that's kind of fake because it basically has a hollow space in here. So I don't like this because when you're cleaning it, water could kind of get in there. When you're juicing, nothing is ever going to get in there. But when I clean it, put it upside down, things could kind of collect in there. Not the biggest fan. That being said, this one is not quite as wide as the H320, but it's definitely more wide and easier to access than the H400. It's also not as deep as the H400, so that makes the H70 easier to clean because it doesn't go down as deep. That being said, the passageway where the juice and pulp collects are approximately the same size as the H400, but I do like that it's not quite as narrow. Also, this piece is a little bit lighter because it doesn't contain as much plastic. Likewise, when we flip this down, this is where the pulp comes out, and it also, once again, is raised up a little bit easier and has a little bit longer run than the H400, but shorter run than the H320. This has an integrated pulp flap lever here that's kind of like built in, so you don't really see it, whereas on both the H320 you have a separate little lever contraption that's not quite as streamlined. So I do like the streamlined look and integration. Take a look over where the juice comes out. You have a similar contraption to the H400, pretty much a similar design. And once again, this is a lot different design than where the juice comes out on the H320. This also has a level gauge, so if you keep your spout cap closed, it'll fill up with juice, and when the level goes up, you definitely want to open this up. That being said, I do recommend leaving this open to let the juice drain out. That being said, I wish they didn't have this whole level gauge thing myself, but you could actually unlatch it from the bottom, and then instead of being hinged and not removable, this is actually hinged and removable. I do like the hinged and removable a little bit better because you can now easily spray this down and get it clean. So once again, cleaning is quite easy on these two machines. They take me about a minute, whereas on the H320, it'll take me about 4 to 5 minutes to clean it if I'm doing a solid job where I'm cleaning the screen and scrubbing down different areas of the machine like you should. All right, yeah, so these are the difference in parts and also explain how the machines work. I guess next up, let's go ahead and assemble all these machines. They are all easy to assemble. That being said, I'll say the easy clean machines are easier to assemble because they don't have all the screen and the wiping blade, and there's nothing really to line up. So, all right, so to assemble the H400, pretty easy as well. Once again, two-piece auger, just put them together, drop it in the juicing bowl, and then you're gonna go ahead and take the handle. That's always gonna correspond and line up when you're done with where the pulp comes out. Align that to the right, lock it in place. You now have the juice spout here, the handle in the back, aligning with the pulp, where the pulp comes out, and then you just drop that in the machine, and you are all ready to go. Next up, let's show you how to assemble the H320. You're gonna go ahead and take the wiping blade, put that in the juicing screen so it can spin freely. You're gonna then take your juicing screen, and has one big side and one small side. It's like basically a half a square. And you're going to drop it in to the bowl with a large square and small square. Drop that in. Then take your auger, drop that in. And then take your handle. I do like that there are two handles, so you always know where to line it up. You're going to offset the handles. And then just line up the handles so that the handles are all fully in line. And then you can drop it in. And you are fully assembled. So these are all the different parts. These are how the machines work. Next up, let's actually go ahead and do a real juice test. We're going to juice even amounts of carrots in all these machines at the same exact time to show you guys how long each of the machines take, how much juice they make, and also, more importantly, how much pulp is actually put into the juice. All right, so we're all set up and ready to juice. Over on the H320, we got the catch cup, which in this case I'm using a glass, and then you have a big catch cup to catch all the pulp. On the H400, I'm just using the glass to catch the juice, and of course the pulp is caught in the back, so this is a little bit streamlined. And then over on the H70, we have the integrated kind of like form-fitting catch cup on the H70 for the pulp, and then just once again the glass to catch the juice. As you guys can see, we got 3 containers here of carrots. These are organic carrots, washed, topped, and bottomed, cut into about 1-inch pieces. Each of these weigh 796 grams for an even fight. These were purchased from like Costco. And yeah, these are the carrots that I normally use. I do encourage you guys to juice organic carrots. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and dump each one of these into each hopper. And then we're going to go ahead and then turn on the stopwatch and then turn on all the machines. Try to do it at the same exact time to see how long each juicer takes. So first up, we're going to go ahead and open up the H320 and drop in all the carrots. Let's see if we can fit here. 796 grams easily fit into the H320. Next up, I really hate the openings on these guys. We got the H400. Once again, all the carrots easily fit into the H400, not even past the maximum fill line. Finally, we got the H70. Let's go ahead and open up the H70 and drop in all the carrots. Let's see if it fits. So once again, 796. Once again, wow. All right, all those fit, and this is definitely more filled up. We could probably fit a little bit more, but definitely a smaller hopper than the other two, once again, by about 20%. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and hit start and turn the juicers on as fast as I can. And we're off to the races. So all these machines are juicing. They're all running. The hoppers are spinning around, agitating the produce. You guys can see this is running the fastest. Pulp's coming out here, pulp's coming out of here, pulp's starting to come out here. And we basically got juice in all 3 cups. So I think in order to save you guys some time, we're gonna speed this part of the video up and we're gonna come back at you when the first juicer finishes. Alright, as you guys can see, the H320 finished first, but did it make the most yield? Time will tell. But, you know, once the pulp stops moving out and the juice stops dripping, then you know time is done. So it's about 2 minutes and 22 seconds to juice 796 grams of carrots in the H320. This machine by far was the fastest. That being said, when the juicer is running, does it really matter how fast it is? Because you can literally walk away and do other things. You don't need to sit there and watch it. So that is really the game-changing technology of the hopper machines, that you don't have to sit there and push produce in. That being said, based on my testing, you know, hopper juicers do take longer to juice, but once again, it's time that you're not spending actively juicing. And of course, although it was done more quickly, it's also going to take more time to clean. Oh, as you guys can see, actually the H70 is about finished next. It emptied out the hopper. There's nothing left in the H400. There's still one carrot spinning around. Oh, and that last carrot just went in. So the H70, the pulp is still coming out. The juice is still actually flowing out pretty good at a good clip. On the H400, pulp is still coming out a little bit and the juice is still flowing, so we're going to let both these run a little bit longer. Alright, I think we're down to the drips and we are basically at 3 minutes and 48 seconds. So that took approximately, I don't know, about a minute 30, minute 20, minute 30 more to juice in the H70 and the H400. In this case, the H400 took maybe a little bit longer than the H70. So nonetheless, still very impressive. They took pretty much the same amount of time despite running at 90 RPMs and 60 RPMs. Once again, the difference is the design difference. Although it runs faster, it has a smaller hole, so things won't go in as quickly. And this one has a bit larger hole in the top to feed things in, but it runs slower. So let's see how all this affects the yield on all the machines. Once again, I do like to tip it up to see if we got any last drips of juice out to make sure we have a fair fight. Once again, after I tip it up, I'll close that spout cap. On this, you need to kind of lift it up all the way and then tip it out. Looks like it's done a pretty good job at emptying all along. Close that spout cap, and once again on the H70, we're going to go ahead and lift that up and let the juice drip out on the H70 and put it back and close that spout cap. Next up, let's go ahead and compare all the yields. All right, H400, H70 coming right up, and the H320. All right, which one made more juice? Let's check it out. All right, check out the yields, guys. Just as I had predicted, because I did do a H70 versus H400 video previously, and the H70 won. You guys can see the H70 made a little bit more than the H400. But then if we go over to the H320, which is the most popular style juicer selling today with the juicing screen on carrots, it actually made the least amount of yield. Why are people still buying screen-based juicers when clearly the screenless juicers that are even easier to clean make more juice? That's a really good question. It's probably because they haven't watched my videos yet. Alright, so quite the upset, huh? I know a lot of you guys that already own screen juicers were thinking that's going to do better, because in some tests, actually the screen juicers do perform better than the screenless, but really depends on what you're juicing. In this specific instance, of course, right, the screen juicer was put to shame by the screenless design that is also easier to clean, although it did take a little bit longer to juice. So you got to choose what's more important, more yield or an extra minute and 20 seconds for these guys, but then you're saving like 3 to 4 minutes because it's easier cleaning. Only you decide, and I'm showing it to you guys so you guys could make the best decision for your purchase. Nobody else is going to do this. They're going to tell you all these shortcut things in an 8-minute video and say buy this or buy that with some, you know, a graph that you got to believe. I sit here and prove it to you, and now we're going to take it to the next level and prove it even more, and this will be interesting to see what happens. What we're going to do next is actually we're going to go ahead and use the same exact sieve to sieve out these juices, because if these juices have a lot more pulp dissolved in the juice, that will artificially inflate the yield. So first up, we're going to go ahead and basically pour the H320 juice through a sieve. And you know what, guys? There's a fair bit of pulp in here. I want to make sure we get all this juice and pulp out. And so the pulp does artificially inflate the juice that was created. And once again, we're going to go ahead and tap this down. I don't like to push it down. I just like to use gravity, because if you push it down, you may push one more than the other. But basically, I tap them all out about the same amount. Alright, so on the H320, let's go ahead and move these aside. You guys can see my scale is set up and already zeroed out. H320 pulp was 19.7 grams. Oh, 19.6, 19.7. We'll call it 19.7 grams of pulp. Alright, 19.7 grams, right? And now we could go ahead and now put the juice back into the cup to see the adjusted juice amount, right? Some of you guys may not mind pulp in your juice, then just drink the pulp. Actually, it's probably healthier to drink juice with a little bit of pulp in it than completely remove it like I am here. That being said, I know some of you guys juice to get juice and not a smoothie. All right, next up, let's go ahead and pour the H400 through the sieve. And, you know, there is also a fair bit of pulp coming out with the juice as well. Let's go ahead and tap this down. All right, let's go ahead and tear out our scale to be at 0 once again. And let's go ahead and put the pulp from the H400 onto the scale. 15.3 grams of pulp. This is crazy, guys. The H400 put less pulp in than the traditional screen design. And I can tell you why that is, because probably on the screen design, the pulp is not coming through the screen. It's actually coming underneath the screen. No other influencer is going to tell you guys that. 15.3. All right, once again, now we got the adjusted amount of juice going back into the cup. All right, last up, we got the pulp in the H70. Did that make more or less than the 320 and the H400? That's a good question. Let's find out. All right, so far it's looks like a lot less pulp. Let's go ahead and sift that around a little bit and pour it in. Oh, now there's a lot more pulp there in the bottom. All right, and let's go ahead and shake this down. All right, I think we got that as dry as we can just by shaking it out. And to me, this looks like a fair bit more pulp than either of the other two. Let's go ahead and tear this out once again. All right, we're at 0. Let's go ahead and put this pulp on there. Wow, that's insane. 33.8 grams of pulp. So the H70 put the most pulp in. 33.8 grams, wow. But now let's go ahead and find out the adjusted amount of juice after removing the pulp. This definitely would inflate the overall yield, right? What some influencers will do is that they're just going to show you guys the unfiltered juice amount, which in my opinion gives you a fake yield, because if the juicer is putting a lot of pulp in, that's going to artificially inflate the overall yield, giving you a false sense of truth, right? These are the things some influencers do. That being said, I show you before and after so you guys get the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So now let's go ahead and look at the adjusted totals on which juicer made the most juice juicing carrots. All right, let's take a look overall at the end result, final result after removing the pulp. The H320 still made the lowest amount of juice, so screen juicers may be on their way out after the easy clean design shows superior performance on carrots, because even after removing the pulp, the H400 and H70 still made more juice. That being said, the interesting one is the H70 and H400. I mean, after removing the excess pulp in the H70, looks like the H70 and the H400 made actually the same exact yield in this test. All right, so as you guys learned, actually the H70, which was a surprise to me, put actually more pulp in the juice in this test. That being said, it did still have an even amount of juice as the H400. And clearly the easy clean machines beat out the screened juicer that it has been traditionally the best-selling juicer on the market. And you know, to couple that now with a 15-year long warranty, which honestly guys was my biggest hesitation about buying an easy clean machine, because previously it only had a 2-year parts warranty, but now the parts warranty is a full 15 years on all the juicer parts, plus you get a better yield. And hey, if you want a bit more pulp in the juice, then go for the H70. If you don't mind, if you want less pulp in juice, then the H400 is the way to go. Once again, the H400 caught all the pulp in the integrated pulp catch, what looks like to be pretty much filling up, whereas the pulp on the H70 is external, easier to see, easier to empty out. And of course, the pulp on the H320 is also external. Oh, so the last thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and taste test the juices to see if there's any significant difference in taste. Once again, this runs at 50 RPMs with a different grinding mechanism. This runs at 90, a little bit faster. This runs at 60 RPM. So first up, we're going to go ahead and taste test the H320 juice, made a traditional screen style juicer. It's a good carrot juice. All right, next up, H400 juice. Can't really taste any discernible difference between them. And then finally the H70. I mean, they tasted all great to me. If I had to say one tastes better than the other, and I don't know if this is like in my mind or not, but it tasted a little bit sweeter. And I did use basically carrots. I all chopped up and then they all got mixed up into each of the different bowls that I juiced. I would say the H70 juice tastes a bit better to me. If you also look at the colors, I don't know if the camera could show this, but from my vantage point, it looks like this juice is a bit more brighter orange, and these are a bit more ruddy orange. You know, maybe that's because this runs at a 60 RPMs. I'm not exactly sure. So take this area of the video with a grain of salt because it is my personal judgment versus the other areas of this video where I actually show the actual amount of pulp generated and show the actual amount of juice made. All right, so that brings us to the end of this video. At the end of this video, I'm going to basically sum it up for you guys. And moving forward in 2025, I think, you know, really the way forward in terms of the Hurom brand juicers is that the easy clean machines are clearly, based on this testing and based on my personal usage at home, the way to go. Not only will you save 3 to 4 times in cleaning, these machines once again could take me 4 to 5 minutes. These machines take me approximately a minute to clean, just spraying it off, no scrubbing. This means you're going to juice more because it is more convenient. You have the options to get a juicer that puts a little bit less pulp in the juice actually than even the screen design with the H400, their top of the line model. I don't like the built-in catch cup, although it performed really well. It was a little bit slower than the H70, which is my preferred model, which actually surprisingly to me put like twice as much pulp in the juice, a little bit more than twice as much pulp in the juice as the H320, but still made more juice and a better yield, and actually priced, you know, similar to the H320, and now with a full 15-year warranty. And once again, I'm looking forward now to cleaning both these machines after this juice off, because you guys don't understand, I got 3 juices to clean plus all the extra glasses, bowls, strainers, and everything I've used for this demo. And cleaning these are definitely a breeze, and it actually makes me want to juice more. Maybe Hurom is betting on that it will make you want to juice more too and buy a Hurom branded juicer instead of other brands that are out there. If you guys want to get the lowest price on the Hurom juicers, make sure you guys use that coupon code at Hurom.com. Not only will you save 10% or more off your Hurom juicer and get the lowest price, but also Hurom will share me a small commission so I can continue to make these unbiased educational videos for you guys where I share with you guys the truth and my assessments of the machines so that you guys can make the best purchase for you and your family. That's the most important thing for me, is that I want you guys to become a juicer for life. Whatever brand you guys choose, it's all right with me. I just want you guys to juice every day, and if using our Hurom Easy Clean gets you to juice every day because the cleaning is easier, right? then do it. Don't wait. 2025 is moving on along, and I want you guys to meet all your weight loss goals and health goals in this new year. And now's a great time to buy while you are motivated and make juicing a habit every day like I do. So if you guys enjoyed this episode learning about the best Hurom juicer for 2025, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Also, more importantly, be sure to share this video with other people that may be still considering a screen style design so that they can learn about the easy clean design that is easier to clean and even gets a higher yield when juicing carrots. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss some of my new and upcoming episodes. I've coming out every 5 to 7 days. You're what new juicers I'll be unboxing, what new juicers I'll be comparing, or vacuum blenders I'll be sharing with you guys, or other equipment so that you could process more fruits and vegetables and other plant foods in the best ways possible. Make sure you click the little bells to get notified as my new videos come out. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. The past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 800 episodes at this time on this channel dedicated to you guys all about the best juicers and other equipment to process plant foods the best ways in your home so you and your family could get healthier. So with that, my name is John Kohler with discountjuicers.com. Be sure to visit discountjuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.